We're going to do a centered zipper. You need two 5 by 12 muslin pieces and one 9-inch zipper. I've got my 2 pieces and my 9-inch zipper. I have a whole bunch of these that are specifically for these samples so that you're not buying a zipper. And I want you to draw a 1-inch seam allowance on both pieces. And you also need a notch at 4 inches. I drew it on both sides so that I can line up my notch. And what you're gonna do is below the notch in the 4-inch, the zipper is gonna go up here. So below the 4-inch notch, you're gonna do a regular machine stitch. So I check my settings and I start at the notch and I back stitch at both ends. Above the notch, I'm going to machine baste. So that means a straight stitch that's on the longest setting. So I move the length all the way up to 5 and I'm not going to back stitch. Because in the end, I'm going to open this back up. I know maybe that seems weird that we're going to put in a zipper. And the first thing we're going to do is close the seam. Then we're gonna put in the zipper and then we're gonna open the seam back up. That's how you know it's gonna close on the right spot. So I've got my seam basted for 8 inches and then regular stitch for 4 inches. I'm gonna go iron that open. Okay, I have my seam allowance pressed open. And on the outside of the garment, I know that it's going to be on the stitch line and that the zipper is going to go from that 4-inch mark and up. So my next step is to pin the zipper face down, pin the zipper face down, centered on the seam over the machine basting. So you're going to come to the back side, and on this part, we're going to take this zipper face down, and we're gonna put the teeth of the zipper right over the seam. That's how it gets its name of a centered zipper. And I'm gonna leave, people always ask, well, how far up do you go? Like it has these tabs. Line those up with the top of the garment. The point of that is that at the top of a zipper, you need a hook and eye to help keep the tension off of it. It's like the button at the top of your fly on your pants. The button holds it together and then the zipper closes the opening. So scoot this edge all the way down to the top edge of the fabric. And then line the teeth up with the seam. Gonna pin that in place. After I get this pinned in place, I'm going to hand baste this zipper in place. And remember, basting is temporary, so I'm going to use my double thread. Here it is. So I have my needle, my thread doubled over and no knot. So I'm going to just baste this. I've pinned it in the right place, and now I want to get the pins out of my way. Well, you can sort of, the tricky thing is that you have to check by feel. You can't really see. And I can tell right now if I run my fingers down this ridge that the ridge of the teeth are not exactly centered. So I'm gonna just scoot it over a little bit. So so that the teeth are centered on the seam a little bit better. I was just a tiny bit off, but on a zipper, a tiny bit off translates in the end to being a lot off. Okay, now I'm gonna hand baste this in place. Kind of out here on the edge where I have pinned. I have the zipper hand basted in place. I'm gonna back stitch, go down this side, across the bottom, and then back up the other side. Now I'm gonna give myself just a little light pencil mark at where 4 inches is so that I don't go too far down. I've got my zipper foot on my machine, and I'm going to change my settings back to a regular length stitch. Now this is going to be stitching that seam on the outside of the garment, so you want to really take your time to make sure that you make it look nice and neat in a very straight line. This is where you also need to move your needle over so that it doesn't hit the zipper foot itself. You want it to be in this little opening right there. And now I am ready to sew. And yeah, I'm gonna just sew right over top of the zipper, and I'm gonna back stitch a little just to reinforce that bottom, and then I'm gonna come up the other side. All right, not bad. The top always gets a little weird because of the pull on the zipper. But once you open this up, you can sort of fix that by pulling the zipper down to this part and then re-stitching those parts of the seam at the top. But now you can remove the machine basting to open the zipper and also get rid of your hand basting. All right, I removed my machine basting and then I touched up that little space right there at the top. And you can see I left myself a space for a hook and eye, if that was a real garment. And then my fabric should cover the teeth of the zipper. And also you would choose a zipper that matches the fabric so that it sort of blends away, as well as the stitching. But now I have a strong zipper with a back stitch down there so it can open. And I also made sure to get rid of all of my little threads, because those little threads could get into the teeth of the zipper, and then gum it up so that it doesn't open and close easily. So that's your centered zipper.